Hi, I'm Judy Goss, the founder of Over 40 Females, and welcome to our 20-minute online breakout session, Social Media Made Easy, featuring social media maven Joan Pelzer. Joan is the CEO and president of Joan Pelzer Media, and Over 40 Females is thrilled to have her on as our director of social media strategy. It's just not easy to keep up with all the digital overload that we're being thrown today, and Joan is here to give us some of the basics so we can properly utilize all that's out there. Over 40 Females has weekly educational teleseminars that range from fashion to finance to building your businesses to social media like today, or strengthening your spirituality and a whole bunch of endless other subjects. So if you're not a member and want to find out more, please go to over40females.com. Our basic online membership starts at only $17 a month. Now, this teleseminar may go quickly, so if you need to hear it again, we will send you the link afterwards. And also, if you want a part two, if you feel like you're just starting to get it and you want to hear a little more, please email us after this teleseminar is over through the contact form on our website or at info@over40females.com. Okay, Joan, let's hear your tricks of the trade for social media basics.
Thank you so much, Judy, and hello to the Over 40 Females community. A lot of you I probably have met if you've come to any events in New York City where I'm from, and if you haven't, I hope to meet you virtually. So I would like to start out, I know you're not going to probably be able to answer this, but it's something you should think about. How many of you are actually on social media, both professionally or personally? And I just want you to think about this. I'm going to advance a slide or two. This is information about me right in the front and details about my company. And if anyone has any questions as we go along, you can feel free to reach out to me through my website, joanpelzermedia.com. So again, the question is, how many of you are personally or professionally on social media? Today, you really can't afford not to be on social media. There are two reasons. One, because it is where a lot of people are finding business nowadays. And two, because if you do have any sort of a website, it helps you with your search engine optimization, search engine marketing. Google has changed their analytics. So when people are now searching for you, it's easier to find you if you're in more places online or on the web. So we're going to advance again, and we're going to talk about some statistics to start out. 56% of Americans actually have a profile on a social networking site. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of them, 56% of Americans. And 93% of marketers are using social media. So it is in your interest, if you are a business, that you use social media to help boost your word of mouth. You can get recognized, followed, liked, and shared. I'm very much into the engagement side of the house, meaning that you're not only talking at people, you're talking with people. You're creating online relationships that you can then take offline. Does anyone know what a hashtag is? This is something to think about. I'm sure most of you do know. A hashtag is simply a keyword. It's something that you can find within your industry or as an event hashtag. For example, NASCAR just had their big races this weekend, and if you searched for the hashtag NASCAR, you could find everything that people were discussing related to that topic. So you can use that on not only Twitter, it was created through Twitter, but you can use it on Facebook, Google+, you can use it on Instagram, which is the way most people communicate on Instagram. And using a hashtag will help you stand out if you do have an event. If Over 40 Females New York has an event, we will often use a hashtag for that. If Over 40 Females Global has an event online, we can use a hashtag for that as well. And then anyone looking for information about that event would very easily find it. You can use hashtags for your own business. Over 40 Females, we often hashtag Over 40 Females Movement. Judy does a radio show called What Women Want Talk Radio. We will hashtag What Women Want Radio. And this way, anyone wants to know what happens during that segment, they can find it very easily. YouTube. YouTube is the #2 search engine behind Google and is actually owned by Google. Does anyone actually know what the #3 search engine is? Of course, I'm going to give you the answer, but I want you to think about it to see if you in your own mind can figure it out. And the 3 search engine behind Google is actually Facebook. There is a separation between Facebook and Google. Facebook is an integrated system, meaning they're within themselves. They do not easily get searched through Google. However, Google made a deal with Twitter. So if anyone tweets, your tweets can now be searched through Google. Your Facebook posts cannot. So there's a big difference. I love Twitter. I also love Facebook, and Facebook is quite useful for anyone who's trying to do business globally, and you can do ads. You can now also do ads through Twitter, and there are lots of other things you can do through Twitter, which we can always talk about during another webinar. But for at least now, you should know there are 1.15 billion Facebook users. That's kind of hard to fathom. They're around the world, and users log in minimum of 5 times a day. I'll ask you this right now for something for you to think about. When was the last time you checked your Facebook profile? And actually, here's another question. When was the last time you checked LinkedIn? And which do you often go to first? There's a good question that could potentially help you with your social media strategy. Engagement with targeted pages on Facebook. This is how to get engagement going. Let's say you're a business coach and you're targeting startup women's businesses. You might go on to Entrepreneur, Forbes Women, Inc., Fast Company. You might comment on an article that's there, and then you might share that article back onto your page. You're doing 2 things. You're talking to their audience, and you're bringing their audience back to talk to you, talk to or with you. I love sharing what other people post back on your own page, both conglomerates like an Inc. or a Fast Company or a Forbes, and individuals. I often like to share what Women Want Talk Radio and what the individual guests are talking about so that my audience can see who they are and what they have to say. When you share, you are creating a 2-way street, and you're helping people to find out who you are and what you are, but you're talking with them, creating a conversation. Events. Do any of you host online events? I'm sure many of you host online or in-person events. We just did a webinar last week for the chapter directors for over 40 females discussing how to use Facebook events for their events that they host in their own cities. It's a great tool. You can create the event right in Facebook, and you can share it and invite people that you're friends with. There's a difference between creating it as a page and sharing it as an individual. Your Facebook profile is you as an individual, and that's how you would invite folks. You would have to be logged in as your own personal profile, but you actually create the event as your page. So if you're a business on Facebook and you're hosting a webinar, you can create the event right in Facebook. You can use graphics. You can put a link to sign up for the event, and then you can share it with your own personal community, your social circle. Twitter are my favorite. There are 550 million registered Twitter users. Twitter is very quickly growing as the demographic for the 55 to 64-year-old age bracket. When I was watching the presidential elections, I followed it on Twitter and got way more information coming through tweets than I did watching it live, which is actually incredible when you think about the power. I recently attended a little seminar by the man who runs the Twitter small business, and he talked all about finding and targeting influencers in your field on Twitter in order to get a little bit more notice. Twitter is also great if you are targeting media. A lot of PR professionals use it. Media is all over Twitter, and very often if you're engaging them and sharing what they have to say, then they may be more apt to want to talk to you in general.
I just want to emphasize that point,
Sure.
Joan, because I know how many over 40 females are not using Twitter. And one of our chapters, not even just one of our chapters, actually it's happened to multiple people, but just as an example, one of our chapters, when they opened a new chapter, they ended up getting 5 TV interviews, a radio interview, and a newspaper reporter coming to the event, all on Twitter. So it's just very powerful.
Absolutely. I actually used Twitter live at an event, and the company I was doing it for was able to sign a contract for the event for the next year because of the amazing power that Twitter had at the event in satisfying the guests and making them really feel comfortable and welcome at an event. So it's a great event tool. People are using it for weddings. all the time. You can hashtag and use Twitter to find images and pictures and all sorts of information that happened at your event live. So it's really kind of cool. You can also directly tweet people. And if you do, chances are they will engage you back. And when they do that, you're actually really creating a relationship there. You don't just want to talk about yourself and promote your own things. You do want to share other people's content. Okay, LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is also amazing. I don't know how many of you know this statistic, but it's an amazing statistic. 2 new members join LinkedIn every single second. That's quite amazing when you think about it. And their information is in there. They're all waiting to connect with people. It was started more for tech jobs, but it's really expanded. And now when I get a business card, I immediately put it in my system, and then I go and I connect with them on LinkedIn with a personal message. And I would request that everyone definitely connect personally. It's nice when you get a personalized note in LinkedIn rather than just a connect. And sometimes, LinkedIn doesn't cooperate technically, and you hit a connect button and it doesn't give you the option for a personal note. But I do recommend if that happens to you, you go back and definitely send a personal note. A beautiful thing about LinkedIn, in addition to that, is sometimes emails get lost. And they don't get opened. So if you send a personal message to someone through LinkedIn, it will remain in their LinkedIn feed that they can perhaps answer it later on. Now, if they're not answering it after that, I'm not sure what to tell you about that. Maybe they don't want to answer your email, but if you do it in LinkedIn as a message, you have a better chance of a response. And a lot of folks are using it for jobs and to help with their sales. If you're in your own company and you're looking for people to connect to, it's a great tool. 330 plus million users, the 16th most visited website in the entire world. And again, the mission is quite simple according to LinkedIn. It's just to connect with the world's professionals. It's a business tool overall and not necessarily a social tool. When you join it, you do get access to people, jobs, news, updates, insights. And the beauty of LinkedIn is actually also in groups. And I know Over 40 Females has a group on LinkedIn. And what's beautiful about that is that people can communicate back and forth. It can be a two-way street right in the group. Make sure your profile picture is clear and it's recent. Don't use a cut-off picture if you can avoid it. A summary is always nice. People do tend to forget that. Under 2,000 characters. And you get an overview of who you are and what you do and experience. Okay, let's see. Get anyone to find your profile based on your keywords. Is your summary using keywords? Is your profile at the bottom, your experience, also using keywords? These keywords are what we talked about in the beginning that can also be hashtags. Let's make sure that what's on your resume is also reflected within your LinkedIn profile. It does have a search engine, and you can be ranked higher based on the keywords you use. You can use them throughout, up top, in a little statement about yourself, in the summary, and in the experience. Join a few key groups like Over 40 Females and be active to be seen as an influencer. Give you one example. I was working with a productivity coach client, and we decided to look at her Google Mail and find out who her contacts were that she hadn't spoken to in a while. We linked with them, and she was able to then have responses from those folks directly through LinkedIn, and she was able to then talk to them about potentially partnering up or working together. She is now seen as more of an influencer. She also uses a blog feature and posts what's called Pulse, and posts her blogs that she posts on her website within LinkedIn as well. Okay, other platforms, which we don't have too much time to get into, but if you do have more questions about those, you can always reach out. Platforms that may be useful for your brand include something like Google+. If you've never used it, it's quite a useful tool, and you can do Hangouts on Google, meaning an interactive conversation right on Google+. Pinterest is great if you have a visual associated with your business or brand. If you are a food company, perhaps you might want to use Pinterest. It's very good for beauty and fashion as well. Instagram, my 9-year-old nephew taught me how to use Instagram a couple of years ago, and I absolutely love it. When you do use Instagram, you can use the same hashtags, and things can be posted simultaneously to Twitter and to Facebook as well. Snapchat, those are those quick little photos that get to disappear right after you send them. Vine, little short 7-second videos. They can also be posted through social media. On Twitter, it's very popular to use little Vine videos. Flickr for photos, Vimeo for video, as well as YouTube. Both a little bit different, but they're both quite useful. One of my clients is a business coach. She will often do her video blogs right in Vimeo and then link them into her social media. Yelp, if you're a localized business, I love Yelp. I just helped a jeweler friend of mine get on Yelp and actually claim his name on Yelp and claim his location. And he's now asking folks who have worked with him to give him a Yelp review. Foursquare is great for, again, a physical location. And Meetup. How many of you use meetup.com? It's a great additional way to get events out to the larger, larger arena. Okay, netiquette. Netiquette is simply to mind your social media manners. There are manners on social media just as you would have manners in email and in interactions directly in front of somebody. Are you actually relevant in what you're saying? Are you timely? And are you listening? How many times do we just want to talk? And social media, again, should be a two-way street. Differentiate your business. How do you do that? How do you stand out when there's so much noise on social media? People are complaining now that they feel like they can't get heard. Facebook often only shows you 10% of your population in your news feed. So how do you get heard? One way is by being authentic. Be real. Speak to people as if you would want to be spoken to yourself. Share relevant information with them that may help them, that may give them insight into who you are and what you believe in. Content calendar. This is a useful tool. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can simply be a sheet of paper with what you're going to do each day of the week or in a month. There are ways to do this, monthly themes, holidays, things like that. I was with a catering and event company, and every single day of the year is a different food holiday. So we would find that in advance, research it, and schedule posts to go out that were related to the food holiday to help them be seen in front of a mass audience. Example for a dermatology client that I had. She was an aesthetic dermatologist. We decided each month would focus on a different area. One month, February, we focused on the lips because of Valentine's Day. What things could you do to enhance the area around your lips aesthetically? And also, what internally could you do? So thinking outside the box for content and for a theme is really useful. We all know the traditional themes, Mother's Day, Father's Day, the holidays in December, the holidays in September, but there are always different things, and you can be creative and brainstorm ways to stand out. Another client of ours, NASCAR Weekend, we just did an article on sponsorship because she does a lot of sponsorships and so does NASCAR. So we tied the two in, and it was totally relevant for this particular weekend, which was the NASCAR. And it was fabulous because she got a lot of play from just doing that article, and she was being useful and sharing good information and good content with her audience. So that's the content I have for you all today. You do have to create two-way conversations. Again, about 80% of the time you want to be sharing information, and maybe 20% of the time you want to be promoting yourself on social media in general. And I have no problem with people being seamless with regards to their profiles on Facebook, which is where you have friends, and with regards to your business page. I do it. I am not hiding anything because of the nature of my business. I have some friends who are psychologists who maybe want to keep a separate profile and a separate business page because they may not want to, quote, friend anybody that they're in business with. And that's perfectly okay, but just let it be known. So if somebody tries to friend you, you could potentially say, I would prefer if you like my business page and we can communicate the exact same way, because you can do private messages. You can do posts on the business page just as you would on the personal profile. I am based in New York City, and I'm available if anyone has questions. You can always go onto the website. I have a
question for you.
There. Sure.
Quick question. You were just talking about hashtags before, and I don't know that everyone really knows what a hashtag is or how to use them. Can you just quickly tell us?
Absolutely. So a hashtag is really a keyword. So it can be a keyword related to an event, or it can be a keyword related to your business. So
a
for
keyword
over
meaning
40,
the internet is going to pick it up somewhere possibly if you
exactly.
post
It's
it.
a search word. Exactly. So for over 40 females, it's over 40 females movement, or it could be women in business. It could be women simply. It could be females. Anything related directly to what your business is. And the best way to find out what your keywords are to look at similar folks that are in your industry and see what they're using as words in their write-ups, maybe in their blogs and such. You can use keywords in two different ways. You can use them as hashtags in order to be seen and searchable, and you can also then use them on your website. And a good search engine program for you, a good search engine optimization program, would actually maximize those keywords by using them both in the code behind your website and in the content in front on your website. Does that make sense?
Terrific.
Does everyone
Absolutely.
get that?
And how can they
Cool.
get a hold of you if they have more questions or, anything further?
Absolutely. So the last slide that's up is with my contact details, and I'm happy to talk to anybody. It's joanpelzermedia.com and info@joanpelzermedia.com. I also put my phone number up there, but I prefer text to phone calls right away if anyone's going to bombard me. But I am happy to talk about this. This is my passion as well as my business, and I really enjoy helping people learn how to maximize social media and create those online relationships. I think it's so important because once you do that and you see the power that you have by being online and creating these relationships, you can't help but want to continue doing it. And if you're sharing useful content and being helpful and useful to someone in your community, then they will come back to you over and over to read what you have to say.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Joan. Appreciate you coming on the call today.
And I know you're recording this so those that couldn't be on can listen to it later. And who knows, maybe if there's enough interest, we can do another one at a later date and get more people that couldn't be on this to learn a little bit more about social media and how to use it. And I absolutely
think so,
Judy,
because there is so much to learn.
Yes, and I love working with Judy. Judy is so easy to work with because she feeds me content and I can turn it around and help show how powerful it can be with regards to all the different areas that Judy's involved in, both personally and on What Women Want Talk Radio and on Over 40 Females National. So it's a thrill to be involved with this organization.
Great. Thank you, Joan. Appreciate it. Everyone have a good day, and thanks for coming on our 20-minute breakout session, Social Media Made Easy.
Thank you.